human.
Welcome back to the show.
Take care, Polly Wally. Down memory lane we go.
Why don't you put your pants back on, Slappy?
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
Little hoop action.
Hell yes!
How you doing?
9 to noon. And 9 to noon is in the air, and we begin with a howl. All righty now, here we go, day before Thanksgiving. And we start focusing on a really, really cool game tonight. It's our Minnesota Timberwolves at the Champion Thunder. And joining us now from OKC is Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Per usual, thanks to Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org, they provide 3 meals for every $1 given. Chris and I deeply believe in the program, and we hope you take a peek at the website, twoharvest.org. Chris joins now. Be cool if we feasted on the Thunder this evening. And by the way, Gilgeous-Alexander came up questionable on the injury report yesterday. What do you think's going on there, Chris? And good morning.
Hey, good morning, PA. He's listed as having some illness, so we'll see. We fully expect him to play, though. He doesn't miss many games, and that's one of the great things that we love about him in the league is he plays every night.
Is that a procedural thing as the NBA goes? Like, I mean, if he has the sniffles, got to make him questionable in case it gets worse. Then we have to scratch him, and he wasn't on the injury report.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a protocol to it all, and it starts the day before. I think at 4:00, everybody's got to kind of give a status update on their roster, and then throughout the day on game day, this is for transparency's purposes, and so yeah, it's just all part of what's normal protocol.
These Thunder do I mean, I think we're 18 to 20ish into it, something like that. Do they play any differently without Jalen Williams?
Largely the same. They just they're just another year into their connectivity, their chemistry, their understanding and reading of each other. I feel they have a little better ball movement, but I don't think that's to do with not having Jalen in the lineup. I just think that's I think Shea's moving the ball a little quicker, and that's creating even more shot opportunities for his teammates. Because Shea's obviously facing, a lot more double teams and multiple defenders looks, and they're doing a really good job. So they're just doing more of the same, but even better.
Yeah, you mentioned the word connectivity, and I mean they from the championship season last year when they beat the Pacers, they're pretty much rolling back everybody from that team, and in all sports, I would imagine it's key to be able to keep stuff like that together year after year, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they have a great roster situation here. They're still under the tax. They have a lot of players on a similar timeline whose new contracts don't kick in until I believe next year, and then they'll face some financial questions on how they go forward, how deep they want to be in the tax and how long they want to stay there. And these are things that we all have to deal with as a reality of roster building. But for right now, they're in a little bit of a purple patch, as the British would say, where things are really lined up well for them.
And with you guys, Phoenix and Sacramento, were there, or in your estimation, absorbing it, taking it in and getting past it, what were some common threads to the late game defeats?
Yeah, I mean, obviously execution down the stretch, game management, stuff, those little small pieces of the game that are not small at all, but the things you got to do to win the game. Hey, listen, we had two losses that should have been wins. All credit to our opponents for making the plays to beat us. We didn't make the plays that we needed to make. Those losses are largely on me as well for, not handling the end of the games in the way that I could have done or should have done. So, but there's nothing left to do but move on. We got, 60 more games to play, 60 plus more games to play. And as I said the other night, you can't let one loss become two. And I do think we fell victim to that a little bit the other night. And that's, certainly not the mindset you need to be in as you move forward. So.
Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, weekly 9 to noon, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. And man, Anthony Edwards has taken the scoring to a new level, at least the last couple. What's the read with his game of late?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm enjoying about his game of late is been really efficient. He's shot the ball well. His 3-point volume is back up where it was last year. He's getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line. He's doing a lot of those things well. We got to continue to find ways to get him cleaner looks at times with all the double teams he's facing. And, he's in a little bit of a kind of a vein right now, which is good to see. I mean, he went through a couple games. I know where he was frustrated. His three didn't fall for him. But as we said at the time, it was always ever going to be a blip, and he usually responds to those moments with big numbers.
As a coach with a high end superstar like that, say in close games, say against Phoenix, maybe more so against Sacramento, how do you balance this is the best guy on the team, which subsequently probably gives us the best one-on-one chance to win, as opposed to ball movement when he does get double teams?
Yeah, I think, it's, we did get a little stagnant down the stretch in both games. But, he's a guy that we want the ball in his hands. And from that, we're going to create good offense. I mean, he's surprisingly, of all these high-end superstars in the league, like his shot percentage, basically the number of times he actually takes a shot in those situations, is a lot lower than some guys. And that is a result of all the double teams that he does face. So we got to make him pay when people double.
Hey, do you guys do anything as a team for Thanksgiving, or do you kind of scatter before the Celtics game on Friday?
Well, we're head home tonight, so everyone will be able to spend Thanksgiving with their family, and which is great. We're back in town for a couple days for the weekend and play a big back-to-back doubleheader coming up. So it'll be nice to be in town for the holidays. Are
there any recommendations or any mandates on amounts of food people can eat day before a game? That includes coaches.
Eat as much as you want.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy it
as much as you want.
Enjoy it and give thanks. And your Eagles host the Bears Friday. And that's before your Celtics game. Have you warmed up to Black Friday football? Because I know you love the NFL.
Yeah, no, I didn't really realize they were playing on Friday until somebody said it yesterday. So, Friday we'll have practice in the morning and then be able to enjoy some football. And then got a big game, Ohio State, Michigan on Saturday. So it's really good weekend of sports, as it always is.
And your media relations conduit and dear friend Aaron Freeman, big Bears fan, Chris Finch, big Eagles fan. How's that relationship working out right now?
Well, we have a great relationship, but we'll see how it ends up on Friday and into Saturday. So, but fully expect a bounce back win by the Birds.
Yeah.
And also won by the Vikes.
Yeah, Winter of Free, as in Aaron Freeman, has a little bleep talking to him. And I didn't realize that until his Bears beat my Vikings, and I had to look at like 6 texts, and then finally was like, holy cow, Winter of Free, we got to slow down with this stuff. But his squad's doing great, and hopefully yours does tonight. Let me ask you this. Do Hartenstein and Holmgren play together a bunch? And like overall, how do they complement each other?
Well, they're a great duo. They're both really skilled. Hartenstein's an unbelievable passer, has a great feel for the game, can make tricky shots around the rim. Excellent defender. As we know, Chet can really protect the rim on defense as well. So they have great interchangeability there defensively. Then offensively with Chet, he's going to stretch the floor. He's a guy who's going to put traditional centers under pressure with his skill set. And they do a great job of playing together. It gives them unbelievable size at the rim, but also they create problems at the other end of the floor. So it's almost a perfect pairing in many ways.
This tonight, Chris, this is an NBA Cup game, right?
It is. It's the final NBA Cup game, so still alive and well in the Cup. With a win tonight, I believe we clinch going through, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do feel like I haven't done the mathematics on some tiebreakers, but I think it gives us a great chance to go through for the win.
I laughed because I tried to this morning, and it's like Minnesota lost, Sacramento this, Minnesota win, point differential that. So do you guys need to win tonight to keep the NBA Cup dream alive?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
No doubt.
Well, the half. What do the players get if they win the? It's $500,000, right?
I'm not sure what it is. Honestly,
like that.
I thought it was more towards $1 million, but I'm not 100% sure.
That of course matters to players. I'm not in locker rooms, and of course you only monitor one locker room, but you know what I mean. I mean they circle their wagons, around things like this, right?
Yeah, I think it's been a great product for the league. Creates early season interest. It gives, it's just another platform for them to be able to promote the game and link up with a media partner to do so. Guys have taken to it in the league. They understand it. They feel that little extra motivation. They're almost all like do or die games, which you don't play many of those in the league, even though, at the end of the day, they kind of all are. They don't all have that feeling.
Have you seen some of the scores in these NBA Cup games? Holy cow, just astronomically high.
Yeah, well, points differential matters. So when you have a chance to pour it on, you're pouring it on. I think that's the one thing that's a little different. Having coached in Europe for a long time, and you'll play like two-legged affairs, like a home and away, and then points differential matters at the end of it, or those types of different tournament settings that they have overseas. That's just part of the equation. But for here in American sports, we don't really stress that. It's not something that we kind of build our competition around. So it is an odd dynamic. It feels a little unnatural, unsportsmanlike even at times. But, when you're up 35, 36 points, and you got to keep going for it because you never know in a tiebreaker situation what it's going to come down to. Coaches and players just kind of have to handle that, right? I mean, you got a little more than $500,000 at stake per player. And, I shared this example yesterday. It was recently with the Orlando Magic. They're killing somebody, man. They're up by like 17, 19 with a minute to go. And Suggs hits a three. And then the other team goes the other way, and Franz Wagner blocks the shot. Like, up 21. Yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me with this? Well, in some ways, isn't that how you want it to be played all the time? But, it's professional sports. Like, if you don't want to be beat by 35, don't be beat by 35. We're not here to protect each other's feelings. So it's never bothered me, no matter what the competition is. If you don't want to get your butt whipped like that, then do things to prevent it. So.
All right, lastly, too, and then happy Thanksgiving. With tonight, what's key with Go Bears game this evening?
Oh, yeah, his defense against the two bigs, of course. They're just countering, obviously, what they're doing. We have to play some on the perimeter. Being early in his help to try to bother Shea. Shea's one of the best attackers in the league, as we know, and he gets wherever he wants to go past the first line of defense pretty seamlessly. So just presenting himself there. And I think, smart offense, spacing is huge against these guys. They generate a ton of turnovers. They will really, be big at the rim. So Rudy kind of reading space around that was going to be also big.
And lastly, what about Jalen Clark? What are you thinking of him lately? I noticed I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the Sacramento game, but I noticed his minutes were cut a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we got TJ back, so we're trying to work him into the lineup. Jalen's fine. He's a big part of what we're going to do. We said from the beginning that these young guys, the situation that they're in this year, their roles will be consistently inconsistent, and we're in a discovery phase. Sometimes you got to go through these periods where you got to figure out what you got, who can do what. You got to give them extended games to do it, and sometimes they're going to play more minutes than others, and sometimes that might be the right decision, and sometimes that might not be the right decision. But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, we're trying to get them all seasoned up so they can help us over a long season into the playoffs.
Happy Thanksgiving, my brother, and I'll call you next week.
All right, you too, PA. Have a good one. Thanks.
See you, bud. That's we definitely give thanks for Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, joins 9 to noon weekly. Vein opening, just quite forthright and frontal with the way he describes things, and we appreciate the relationship and collaboration we have with Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. Hey, we have a Talkback Marathon segment about an hour from now, and here's the deal. Get to the free iHeart audio app and give thanks or give the gizzard for local teams, players, scenarios. It's really up to you. Free iHeart audio app, give thanks or give the gizzard if that's what you want to do. We gave thanks yesterday amidst a sea of purple negativity and did so via strays of kindness. So give thanks for what's good in your sports world or deliver the gross gizzard for what's working on your last nerve. Talkbacks around 10:20, around the corner. Michael Russo. Russo hockey on the Red Hot Wild taking on the Blackhawks on KFAN this evening. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to 9 to noon on FM 100.3 KFAN.
9 to noon.
One short-handed. He played it off ice. Johansson carries in right side. Johansson hit the late homecoming favor. Took a shot. He scores! Brock Faber ripped it under the crossbar. It's a short-handed goal, and the Wild have a 2-0 lead.
Minnesota Wild on these airwaves this evening taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. And nobody better to discuss it than Michael Russo with The Athletic and theathletic.com. At Russo Hockey via X. If you would like to follow as 9 to noon does, please do. And Wild and Blackhawks this evening from the Windy City. 5 in a row. 7 of the last 8 for the squad, like 9-1-1 in the last 11. So, Michael, for sure, they're hot. But to your trained eye, truly, how good is it for the Wild right now? And good morning.
Good morning. It's been great. They are defending impeccably. They're getting outstanding goaltending from both their guys, Gustafsson and Wallstedt, and they're getting timely goals. So, the other night against Winnipeg was just a precision-like game. They got great goaltending in the first period, and I thought controlled really the majority of the game from that point on, and that's been really the sign here. For the last little bit. They were outstanding in Pittsburgh. The Penguins looked like they left their legs in Sweden. It was their first game back from the Global Series. But really, this entire month has been an absolute switch of the, flip of the switch in every facet of their game. Expected goals, goals saved above expected. They are just every metric right now. Is just a completely different team than the one that we saw in October, and mostly they're playing with the lead. They've scored first in 12 straight games. This is an organization that in the month of October trailed more than all. I think it was only Boston that trailed more than them in the entire month of October, and here they are in this month, and they just never seem to trail. So it's been a absolute. Shocking turn of events here.
How significant, how big is having Zach Bogosian back? I mean, he had some beast to him at Winnipeg.
Yeah, he was good. He added some physicality. Definitely rusty in the game in Pittsburgh and much better in Winnipeg. And I think and that's the element that he brings to this lineup and why they want him in the lineup. I thought Damon Hunt came in and did a really good job, filling in. He had a couple rough games, his last two, and Zach came back at a perfect time, and he's added some physicality to this lineup. But I think the biggest thing that's really changed is just the overall play from their top four blue liners. I mean, Spurgeon has been unreal, hasn't been scored on at 5-on-5 in the last 175 minutes. Faber is playing just tremendous hockey right now. Middleton's been great. Brodin's been much better. And guys like Boyum just continue to get better. So their overall blue line right now, I think that they're getting probably overshadowed just because Volstad and Gustafsson have been really the story of the league. But the blue line has been tremendous.
Now, after they beat the Jets, did they play down beating Winnipeg for the first time in 2+ years? I mean, it just doesn't ever happen. That was big.
Yeah, it was big, and what I was impressed of, I know Jets fans were pointing out that the Wild didn't, that the Jets didn't have Connor Hellebuck in the lineup, but the Wild didn't have 4 injured players, including 2 of their top 3 centers, and Hartman and Rossi. So it was a heck of a win, and in a building that hasn't been kind to them. Obviously, a long way to go in this season. Winnipeg hasn't been nearly as good lately, and obviously not having Hellebuck in the lineup is starting to hurt them. But look, you can only play. That's the thing. I mean, how many times has Winnipeg played the Wild in the last 3 years, and they haven't had Kaprizov in the lineup, or Eriksson Ek in the lineup, or their goalies in the lineup, or Middleton or Spurgeon? It's been over and over again where the Wild go into these division games completely shorthanded. And here they were technically again with 4 missing players, and they went out there and in my mind dominated the game. So did they play it down? I think that the one thing right now with this team is that they're very confident in themselves. They had a lot of time to talk about that game after they got stuck in Winnipeg for about 8 hours after the game because of a problem with their plane, and didn't get home till 3 a.m. from an afternoon game. Right now they're in Chicago and looking forward to tonight's game.
If you're looking at little morsels or clues or hints, Mr. Russo, can it be games like that from the standpoint that, I mean, as much as you follow this team in this league, I mean, what's a broken record been the last couple of seasons? They'll beat on the bad teams, and then they're always losing to the Dallas squads, the Vegas squads, the Avs, of course, matinee on Friday, looking forward to that, and Winnipeg in nearly 2 years, as we talked about. Like, if you're looking for signs in terms of steps forward for the state of hockey, beating these teams means so much in the grand scheme.
Absolutely, and they've been in a stretch of beating really good teams. They beat Vegas, they beat Carolina, they beat Anaheim, and obviously the other night against Winnipeg. So, look, I mean, Colorado, they want to look past Chicago tonight here in Chicago, but the Colorado game is obviously going to be a big test. That team is rocking and rolling. They've won 9 in a row. But you're right. I mean, how many times in the last couple of years have we said that every time the Wild played Dallas or Winnipeg or Colorado, that they, or really generally any playoff team north of them in the standings, they just don't play well against them, or at least don't have the 2 points at the end of the night. So you're right. I mean, the fact that they're beating these teams right now, it says a lot. The fact that they're defending as well as they've been, it's just ridiculous the number of shutouts that they've already had here, especially in the last little stretch here for the last 7 games. So they are just playing a terrific hockey right now.
You mentioned, the story of the league might be Gus Bus and Volstad. How difficult can it be when, and Gus, it's almost like by way of competition, Gus Bus, after a tough October, has been terrific this last month or several weeks as well. So that's awesome, this tandem. How difficult is it for Hines to manage 2 heaters between the pipes on a game-by-game basis?
I don't think it's difficult at all. I think he feels confident whoever he throws in there. I mean, look, tonight, if in Chicago, this could be the 4th time this season of the 5 shutouts that we see the goalie got the shutout the game before doesn't start the next game. When does that ever happen in the NHL? In a superstitious league, you usually always start the goalie that got the shutout the night before. But Hines has almost set the precedent now, where he's willing to do this and rotate these two. And as long as they're both playing well, I think that's the way to manage it, especially in such a condensed season. One of these two goalies will be in the Olympics, so Gus has a lot of a lot of games ahead of him. So I think it's huge for him if he can, get rest at times, and in a league where everybody's getting hurt, play them both if they're both willing to, if they're both able to continue to win games. And what I like about Gus's attitude is he basically says it that the competition that Jesper Wallstedt is providing him is putting him in a position where he knows if he doesn't play well, he's not going to get the net. So I think that's great, healthy internal competition. And right now, both these goalies have been delivering big time.
I mean, they're absolutely in a roundabout way making each other better. I mean, even casuals can figure that out from afar. It's kind of like the hold my beer situation, right?
Absolutely. And we're seeing that. I mean, I remember the game in Pittsburgh, when I announced that Gustafsson was starting that game, fans were freaking out why Hines would change it. And then Gus goes out there and gets a shutout himself. And obviously he wasn't tested a ton because, as we mentioned, the team is defending really well. But then Wallstedt follows up that shutout by going out and shutting out Winnipeg. So it's just been tremendous to watch, and now the entire team is playing well. Zuccarello hasn't been in the lineup for a regulation loss since he's been back. Kaprizov is playing absolutely his best hockey this season. Same thing with Boldy. That Eriksson, Johansson, Boldy line continues to every single night shut down the opposing stars of other teams. They'll have a big task tonight, obviously on the road against Connor Bedard, who has been tremendous this season. But right now, this team is, they're getting incredible play from Foligno and Trenyan right now. So they are just really, this is as good as we've seen them play in a long, long time.
How's the kid doing? How's Urov coming along? I mean, there kind of some conversation in that game where he got to play on the first line with the big timers. But how is he doing? I think 6 points in his 18 games.
Yeah, he's doing great. Nordo, he's been on the top line for the last 3 games. He's chipped in a couple goals, although the goal the other night was, he played with, it was a partial change where Kaprizov and Zuccarello hadn't gotten on the ice yet. So he was with his old 2 line mates, and Trenyan and Foligno, and Trenyan set him up for the goal. But what I love about the kid is he doesn't change his game. He's so solid and dependable on the defensive side of the puck. He competes his butt off. His board battles continue to get better. I think he's just going to be a really, really good hockey player. I still don't know how simple points will come to him. It's obviously going to depend on where he winds up eventually landing full time in the lineup. But right now, I mean, if you have him as a middle 6 center on this team long term in the future, I think that's going to be a heck of a win for the Wild with that draft pick. And so I just continue to be impressed with what this kid brings. He speaks very little English, yet he's mature above his years, and I just can't wait to watch him mature over the next 2 or 3 years and just see him as he gets more comfortable in this country off the ice, what that helps in terms of on the ice. This kid's lived in a hotel now for 3 months, basically, and still has not been told that he can go get an apartment. At some point, I think his agent's going to probably have to step in and tell Bill Guerin, there is a time limit that you could keep a guy in a hotel, and at some point they're going to have to let him move out of I don't want to say where he's staying, but out of his hotel.
Yeah, but I mean, living in a hotel for that long and having somebody else clean your room and do your sheets every single day. I mean, that sounds amazing. I'm giving thanks for that.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know what? He's not getting I'll just give the brand of hotel.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain to him the other day what Marriott points are, and he doesn't have a Marriott number. I mean, just think of the number of free nights he would have this off season. If he just during the Olympics, he could go off to to Hawaii for 2 weeks and have Marriott pay for his room. But right now, he doesn't have a Marriott number.
You could share some points with him, Russo.
You could do it retroactively.
Yeah,
go get a Marriott number and give it to the hotel and get some points, man.
Or you could share some points with him for all the great tidbits he gives you.
Thanksgiving gesture.
No, let's not go too far.
Russo Radio.
What's if there's a common thread, you'll unveil it. But what's leading to all of these shorties?
Well, I mean, their penalty kill has been just outstanding here the last month of the season. It's shocking to say that for this organization that has really struggled on that department for a while. But I think a lot of it is the fact that they've just been, one, a lot more aggressive, but you're adding skill guys to this lineup. I mean, obviously Rossi's hurt right now, but Rossi's been on the penalty kill this year. Boldy's been on the penalty kill this year. And I just think when you have really good offensive players, like a lot of teams have done for a long time in the league, and the Wild have never seemed to do, I think that they just generally anticipate plays that opposing really good players are going to make. And a perfect example is Boldy's first career shorthanded goal the other night against Carolina. He anticipated that pass by a great player in Sebastian Aho, picks it off and scores the breakaway goal. We saw Faber the other night make an incredibly good defensive play in his own zone to spur that odd man rush, and then he joins the fray and scores the big goal. So I think that's part of it, is that they've been more aggressive. I think they're using more skilled players in that area, and right now they just are completely on the same page, and they're getting saves too. I mean, I know that we're making a big deal because they've got a couple shorthanded goals in the last 3 games, but most importantly, their penalty kill is hovering around 90% this month, and it's just it's just a perfect example of how every single thing about this team has flipped completely upside down from what we saw in October, where it looked like this team was going to, wind up with a lottery pick. Now they've climbed up to the 10th best points percentage in the National Hockey League going into tonight's game in Chicago.
Time for 2 more. Heinze told us yesterday Eriksson Ek is playing at his highest level of the season. I mean, he really, really threw some flowers his way. What are you seeing with Eriksson Ek?
Yeah, he's just been unbelievable. You look at the analytics of what he is doing to the opposing top players of the team every single night. It's truly remarkable the way he's shutting down every single game, the top line of the other thing. And it's not just him. Boldy and Johansson are part of that. He's winning key draws now. He leads the league in faceoff wins and faceoffs taken. So that's huge too, is that, they're starting with the puck. And when you're obviously in the offensive zone, that's the best way to defend the top line. So he's been just tremendous. I mean, you ask the amount of respect, he's hated by opposing players, but it's because of how much they respect him. They hate going up against him. It's the way opposing players talk about Eriksson Ek is the way they used to talk to me about Mikko Koivu. Nobody likes to go up against him. He's just an absolute competitor on the ice. And from a work ethic standpoint, there's few guys in the league that work harder than Eriksson Ek. So he has just been playing elite hockey lately.
Non-Wild specific question, but they are in Chicago tonight. So I'm sure you saw the news and followed it loosely. Mason West, Blackhawks draft pick, winning a football state title with Edina. I'm just curious. I mean, into the draft, first round pick, the idea of him letting teams know, like, hey, I want to play football and finish this out with my guys before I transition to every day I'm at the rink. I mean, just the time you've spent covering the sport, like, how unique is that moment where teams kind of got to loosen the reins, or maybe that alters the way that they view a prospect when choosing in the draft? Just kind of Mason West and the Blackhawks giving him that leeway to go play football before he puts the puck on front of brain.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's just a tremendous kid, a tremendous athlete, obviously. And he's about to go play junior hockey. And look, the one reason why he probably was drafted at the end of the first round is that teams were not comfortable with him playing another football season and trying to capture his dreams of leading Edina to a state title in football, which he achieved remarkably. And now, he still is making it very clear that hockey is his future. But it will be interesting if he makes it big for the Blackhawks. There are going to be a lot of teams regretting letting that slip, and it was all because of a dinosaur mentality where they just were all concerned that he was caring too much about football or worried about injuries or something like that. And the Blackhawks took a gamble at the end of the first round, took him, and they might wind up being the team that really is going to be thanking their lucky stars they did that. So I'm happy for the kid. I got to talk to him a couple weeks ago for my Josh Harding story because Josh coaches him at Edina. And Josh actually, even though he's a goalie, he changes the forwards there and coaches the forwards. So Mason was outstanding talking to me for that feature I wrote on Hards, and I'm really excited for the kid because he seems like just an absolutely awesome kid with a real bright future in the sport of hockey, which I'm excited excited about that he's switching over to this sport full time.
Have a great Thanksgiving, Michael. Safe travels. Enjoy the game tonight, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
You too, guys.
See you, bud.
Russo
Happy Thanksgiving,
Radio.
Russo.
That is Michael Russo out of Russo Hockey, The Athletic, and theathletic.com. Go Wild, taking on Connor Bedard and one day Mason West and the Chicago Blackhawks. 7:30 puck drop, FM 100.3 KFAN. Back to OKC to chat about this life changer tonight against the Thunder for the Howl, and Alan Horton, who calls games on radio but also does the simulcast, radio and TV. We'll talk to the Vox after this. Alan Horton at Wolves Radio via X. Follow him if you are so inclined. He'll be on the microphone or microphones this evening for the Wolves and OKC. Alan, it's Paul Allen with Nordo by my side. How have you been, Vox?
I have been good. It's good to catch up with you guys. It's been a minute.
Likewise. And radio or TV and radio tonight? What's the play?
It is radio only tonight as ESPN is in the house, and they've got the exclusive tonight, so there's no FanDuel Sports Network television cast, and so it's KFAN all the way tonight.
Is this your first season? Is this the first time you've done a simulcast?
Yes. Yes, because we only did the one TV game last year, and you did the radio for that one, and then. Yeah, everything happened so late in the season, and it was difficult to figure out what Michael Grady was doing with his national stuff. And so by the time we got to media day, that's really when we kind of hammered things out. And it was so late in the season that they kind of decided to go the route of doing the simulcast and putting me and Jim Peterson on both airways, TV and radio.
So as a play-by-play guy, how do you balance it for the TV watchers along with the radio listeners?
Yeah. Well, it's a TV broadcast that's being simulcast on radio. I have not really tried to thread that needle because it's almost impossible to do. It's why the NBA went away from simulcast back in the when I was in Seattle. I actually got hired in Seattle with the Sonics and Storm because Kevin Calabro, who was the fine broadcaster of the Sonics at the time, now he's the Trailblazers TV voice. He was the last one to do a simulcast, and the league, really wanted to separate the two because you really can't serve both mediums. And so when he moved to TV, that opened up an opportunity on radio. I wasn't the play-by-play voice, but I came in and ran the network and got my opportunity for 1 year in Seattle before moving to Minnesota. So, I'm a big fan of opening things up and giving people opportunities. And we'll see how it goes going forward. Who knows if there might be a change going next season.
Cal Soderquist still runs radio, right?
He sure does.
If you want to tease him, because I've done Vikings preseason games in simulcast form for about 13 to 15 years. And I know what you're talking about when it's like, you got one person in your ear about over-describing, another person in your ear about under-describing and stuff like that. So once you get past that, and you probably are, if you want to start teasing like Cal Soderquist, he'll mention to you something about description or lack thereof, and then you just go, Randall, Edwards, oh! Yeah. And the radio people be going like, what happened?
Yeah, what happened there? What side of the floor are we on? What who passed to who? What was the ball movement? It's definitely different, and those two mediums have grown further away, I think, through time, and so but it is definitely a first and foremost a TV broadcast. That's your biggest audience. That's where your bread gets buttered. I mean, let's face it. TV money is the driving force in sports, and so the TV broadcast has to come first. Unfortunately, at the expense sometimes of the radio.
When doing T-Wolves TV, do you guys get better seats than if calling it just for radio?
We do. Generally, we do. It's been nice to sit, second row, sometimes front row, and have a better seat for the broadcast. You do run into more interference with all the players checking in. Back in the day when we grew up watching the NBA PA, it was all the guys who used to squat down at the scorers table. They were very considerate, and they would not block your view. Now it's like a wall of humanity when three guys are checking in from one team. three guys from the other team. There's a bunch of ball boys there that are collecting jerseys and stuff. The coaches are up. The referees are up. And so sometimes, even though you got a great seat, you're completely boxed out, which is the reason why on national TV games, you'll see that the broadcast team is they're on the other side of the floor. So they're not obstructed with all those kind of things. They get a much cleaner view.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that because I'm gonna deliver a stray of kindness the way of Karl Anthony Towns. I was watching the Knicks and the Nets the other night, and I was watching the New York feed, the Yes feed with Mike Breen and Clyde and Walt Frazier, Clyde the Glide, and Karl Anthony Towns took a bad spill and then he left and he was okay, so he came back. And they're calling the game, and Cat's standing right in front of him. And then Glide, jokes about it or mentions something, and Karl turns around and looks and almost was like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. And he went down to a knee.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's some of the guys still do it, and I think when you see someone of the caliber of Walt Clyde Frazier, you're just Cat knows the history. He grew up in New Jersey. He knows what Clyde meant to the Knicks, and and you can't miss him too because he's usually wearing something pretty outrageous as far as his jacket and suit combination. He's always sharply dressed, but you always know when he's there, not just because he's almost a 7-footer there.
Box, what do you think about tonight? SGA has come up questionable. It's an illness. Finchy joined 50 minutes ago. He fully expects Gilgeous-Alexander to play.
Yeah, probably. I mean, you have to assume that he is. This team is an absolute juggernaut. It does not look like they're hungover at all from last year's title run. They're so dialed in. I mean, they've put that in the past, and they look just as determined as ever. They haven't even played Jalen Williams yet, and so they are deep. We knew this was going to happen. I think next year is the year you'll see them have to cut some of their guys. I don't know if Alex Caruso is still on this team, Isaiah Hartenstein. Those guys get really expensive next season when Chet Holmgren's contract kicks in. So does Jalen Williams. Then they become, then they've got to rely more on their young guys. But the problem there is that they have so many draft picks and they draft so well and they've got so many young guys that they might be able to just plug and play, some of these guys. So it's an absolute uphill battle. But the Wolves did come in here. First off, they beat the Thunder twice in the regular season last year, and one of them was an incredible 24-point comeback in the fourth quarter. So it's possible, and the Wolves have done it. And so, there haven't been too many road trips in which the Wolves have gotten swept. You have to go back 3 years to see the last time the Wolves lost all 3 games on a road trip of at least 3 games. And so I think you're going to see a much better effort after what happened in Phoenix and in Sacramento tonight.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go with it, Alan. I mean, it's absolutely a massive step up in class, but this feels also like the perfect opportunity for this thing to come together and in some ways wash away the meltdowns that you saw the previous 2 nights, right?
Yeah, and I think they've got to find a rhythm. It can't just be Ant scoring 40+ points, or Julius right there behind him. It's got to be a team concept. It's got to be a rhythm, a flow. The Wolves offense is, while their defense has been on the rise over the last 7-8 games, their offense has gone the other way after it was really good to start the season. And I think down the stretch, you've got to, the game gets sped up, the crowd is going crazy, and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Wolves the last 2 games down the stretch. And it's easy to see why when you're in that space, you're in that arena, and like I said, the crowd is going crazy, the game gets sped up. You're trying to do the simple things, but everything becomes difficult, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. I just think the Wolves have to be calm, cool, and collected, and that is easier said than done. But this team knows how to do it. They've got the pieces to do it, and they've got to put it all together. It's got to be more of a rhythm because I do feel like while Anthony Edwards has put up big numbers, things have gotten out of sync in the fourth quarter. You've got to involve your teammates. It's got to be more of a balance.
With Julius Randle, and it's tough coming off those 2 losses, and you're mentioning the rhythm and such, but with Julius, I know the statistical apex may have been his 2nd or 3rd season with the Knicks, but you got to watch it up close and personal a year ago, and now seeing it now, there's just something different about Julius in totality thus far. I think he's playing some of the best basketball of his career. What have you noticed?
Yeah, you can argue. Look at the shooting numbers. I mean, he's putting up career-high numbers in field goal percentage, and while his three-point numbers have dipped a little bit last few games, he's still shooting it better than ever. And so while I think 2 or 3 years ago he averaged 25.1 with New York, he's at 24.2 maybe heading into tonight. But I'd argue he's been better this year than that year because he's got those. He's doing it on less shot attempts too. He's taking about 16 a game instead of 19 a game. So he's been super efficient, and his bully ball style that we saw in the postseason last year has just translated this year. And his shooting touch inside is fantastic. And so it's been a really good start to the season for him.
Alan Horton, radio and sometimes TV play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Fox.
Wolves and OKC this evening. OKC has one loss this year. They blew a 22-point lead to the Blazers a few weeks ago, and that's it. End of the game is it's 6:30 this evening. It's an NBA Cup game. From your standpoint, why do the Wolves keep getting so sloppy in the late stages of these recent losses?
You know, I just think it's a little bit of a mental fatigue down the stretch, PA. It's just, like I said, the game gets sped up, and you've got to be at your sharpest and at your best in those moments, and you can't get away, with little things, not boxing out, making sure of a pass before you throw it. It's just the Wolves have not been sharp in those moments, and the turnovers have really been, I think, one of the biggest problems. They've got the highest turnover rate in clutch time of any team in the league. I mean, they've turned it over 14 times now, and in a very small sample size, and only 6 clutch time games. So they're just those decisions have to be sharper in the game's biggest moments, because that fuels everything. And a turnover is so much. You don't even get a shot at the rim, so you don't even give yourself a chance to score. You're just giving the opportunity to the other team to score and giving them momentum in the process, and then it just snowballs from there. So to me, it just stems from those turnovers and being physically and mentally sharp down the stretch.
Now, lastly, Jalen Clark and that perimeter defense. Like, I look at a game like tonight, and I'm like, at this stage of Jalen Clark's career, okay, nobody one-on-one is going to shut down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But if you want to throw bodies at him, specifically the big upper body and the strength of Jalen Clark, seems like it would be cool, and maybe it'll happen. So I didn't get a chance to see much of the Sacramento game. His numbers came down. He took a rough foul at the end of the Phoenix game, I think, or one of those two games. So, like the maturation of Jalen Clark with his calling card being defense, what corner threes and offense you get from him, I still look at it as gravy. But Jalen Clark, what are you seeing with him?
Yeah, I think you have to remember too. He's only entered the rotation about midway through last year, so he's only played really a year of NBA basketball, and he's already shown that he is one of the upper. And he's making a name for himself. He's got a rep around the league that his defense is his calling card. He came in late in that Sacramento game and fouled someone before the ball had been inbounded, so that didn't go well. But he didn't play as many minutes against Sacramento. I think with TJ Shannon back now, I think Chris Finch is still trying to figure out kind of his rotations, and those become tough when certain lineups aren't working together or certain guys aren't going, having a great night. But he's got to be part of the plan going forward, and he is. He'll be a solid guy, because when you have Ant and you've got Jaden and you got Jalen Clark, and I still think TJ Shannon is going to be a big part of this team, and I think defensively he can be. He can be in that upper echelon group too. I think he's going to be a little bit bigger body, so he gives you some options when you're facing an SGA or you're facing a Luka Doncic. But Jalen Clark has to be a part of things going forward. He's just solid defensively. He's already got really good defensive metrics. I mean, guys just don't shoot well against Jalen Clark. That's the bottom line. It's like Rudy inside. Guys just don't shoot well against Rudy, and that's what you want. You want to force misses, and even better, you don't want guys shooting in the first place, and that's what Rudy has done for his entire career. The numbers are staggering this year. When he's on the floor, teams don't shoot in the paint or at the rim. When he's off the floor, those numbers jump up through the roof. And Jalen Clark is doing similar type things, so he's going to be a big part of things going forward.
Happy Thanksgiving, Vox. Call a good one tonight, all right?
All right, guys, I appreciate the time. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there, and we'll see if we can finish this road trip in style.
Yes, sir. Against OKC, beating the best, indeed would personify finishing in style. By the way, personifying thanks and or giving or getting the gizzard. Don't forget we have talkbacks about 20 minutes from now. Free iHeart audio app. Things for which you give thanks with your sports world. The 9 to noon sports world did it yesterday, delivering strays of kindness. But on the other side of it is what I'm calling the gross gizzard. You want to deliver the gizzard to somebody or something or some entity. You can do that too. We're going to run those talkbacks in a marathon segment about 10:20. You can give thanks, strays of kindness, and or give the gizzard. But around the corner, Vikes Bites on KFAN.